Christmas Journey is an okay film. The concept is good. The characters are really likable. There's one scene that really irritated me, and it wasn't a great start. I mean, it wasn't the very start of the film. I'd say it's probably before the halfway mark, and it kind of made me think, is the rest of the film going to be like this? But actually, after that point, it was not too bad, and I will explain that particular scene at the end with a spoiler warning. It's only fair that I explain what I'm talking about. But in general, this will be spoiler-free because I guess I recommend it. This was released in 2021. It's written and directed by Tommye Staley, and it stars Staley and Tyson Alexander. And this is about a man who comes back from serving in the war, and things are not great when he comes home. There's been a big change. I won't say what it is. I won't give too much of the backstory, but it puts him in, understandably, not a great mood. So his mother suggests that they go on a bike trip, on a motorcycle trip, and that's the bulk of the film. This little tour that they're doing, the people they meet, the activities they do along the way. And I will say that part of it was quite creative. It was quite fun to try and work out, or I guess guess, what they might encounter next, or the kinds of people they might meet next. That part of it, I think, worked really well. I love the fact that the mother is there for her son. I love this mother-son bonding. I think that worked really well. And both of the characters were really likable as well. So it ticked all of those boxes. I will say it's not the most Christmassy film. I didn't mind that too much, because for me, the Christmas aspect kind of took a back seat. It's not the kind of film I'd say watch it if you want a Christmas film, but it is there in the background. And in general, the pacing was not too bad. The performances are okay, camera work is fine, lighting, everything like that, absolutely fine. No problems at all. Music, good as well. The only thing I didn't like is that some of the writing is really clunky. Some of it's a little bit unrealistic and unbelievable, and as I said, I will in a moment give a spoiler warning and mention one particular scene, but the scene I will mention was the worst moment. Everything else was not as bad as that. So, to be fair, it's okay. It is watchable. Visually, it's quite beautiful. We have a lot of really lovely locations. It's filmed in Arizona, and it is an attractive film to look at, and I think it deals with a lot of important topics, partly with the son and his emotional responses to various things, the mother supporting her son, and some other things along the way. So in general, I'd say it's not a bad film. It's a good concept. It's reasonably well executed. The characters are likable. It's not a particularly festive film, but that aside, it's not too bad, and if it sounds like a narrative that might appeal to you, I'd say it's one that's probably worth checking out. I will now explain the one scene that I thought was really, really ridiculous. And it did. The reason I'm mentioning this is because this scene happened, and I kind of thought, is this film really going to be this bad? And actually, it isn't. It's just this one scene, for some reason, was absolutely terrible. The mother and son are biking along, and they see this woman going to her mailbox, and then she collapses and she's pregnant, and really sweetly they stop their bikes, they rush over to her, they pick her up and carry her into her house. And the first issue is that they take her to her bed. I feel like that's so unnecessary, and also a huge invasion of privacy. They'd also, presumably, based on the layout of the house, maybe not, but I feel like going to the front room and putting her on a sofa would have made significantly more sense. If I ever collapse outside of my house, please don't take me to my bed. Please just go to the living room and put me on the sofa, because going into somebody's bedroom is an invasion of their privacy. And I just thought it was unrealistic. And then the woman's unconscious because they're trying to wake her up. They make this very clear, which is fair enough. And then she wakes up and she doesn't panic. She doesn't wonder why there are two strangers in her bedroom. She's unconscious. There's no way she would have known what happened in that period between collapsing and getting to her bedroom. And if you've ever fainted and when you come to, there is a moment where you're trying to remember what happened. And she wasn't panicked. She wasn't phased. And then she goes into labor, which is fair enough. And instead of calling emergency services, they don't know this woman's medical history. They don't know if there's a problem with the pregnancy that could result in problems with the labor. They just decide to deliver the baby, which is born in about 0.2 seconds. Slight exaggeration, but it's very quick. And then the baby was born. I thought, okay, sometimes it happens quickly. And I thought the mother was going to say, go and phone emergency services. And no, she tells her son to go and get scissors, like to cut the cord, obviously. And I'm like, what? This is not realistic. Nothing about this scene is believable at all. And then, to make it worse, and this really annoyed me, before that, they'd gone to a pub and they'd met a man who was not the nicest of characters. He had nobody, he had no people in his life, but he was wealthy. So they decide to bike back to him and get him and make him sit with the woman who'd just given birth. And they literally said, he has no body, but he has money, so he'll take care of you. What? You can't do that. First of all, you've just met the man. Second of all, you can't dictate what somebody does with their money or their time. So it was just really stupid. That scene was just absolutely terrible. Had that scene not been in it, then it would have been a little bit better. But that is the worst of the worst. So if you can look past that, the rest of the film is okay. But as I said, I'm mentioning this because this scene happened and I kind of thought, is this going to be the quality of the rest of the film? And if you did that, if you got to that scene and then gave up, I'd say stick with it, because actually it doesn't get worse than that. It does get a little bit better. So that wasn't great. But the rest of it, not too bad. I wouldn't watch it again, but in general, Christmas Journey is okay.